Coming up in today's episode of Circle Back.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm working more than half the Canadian staff, so there's no surprise on that. Let's go ahead and get started.
You know, in all seriousness, I know I stutter. It is who I am. You just got to take it.
And he's not okay, Chris. Just to remember, that's totally separate from the stuttering, but he's not okay.
You know, we're the weird ones for taking this seriously. This is supposed to be kind of a fun, entertaining product. I have no problems with these guys sucking at betting. And honestly, the fact that they're not pretending to be guys who win at betting is fine.
If you can't get the bets, your record doesn't mean anything. Like I could probably be up thousands of units in the last 2 years if I took all the lowest hanging fruits that you can get $7.
Maybe there's then a Sophie Cunningham branded, one of those, or maybe we start really gearing up and getting the things going because people are buying it. It's going out, so it's catching attention. So,
disclaimer: the content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions.
Circle back here on the Circles Off channel. It's part of the Hammer Betting Network, and it's presented by Kalshi. This is a show where we cover the latest and the greatest stories on gambling. Twitter with myself, your hosting Jason. We're filling in for the last time for Jacob Gramenya alongside Chris Dierkes to my bottom. Joey Knish, diagonal from me. And then Mr. Peanut Bettor in the 4-seat, Mike, filling in for us here. Mike, welcome back.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm working more than half the Canadian staff, so there's no surprise on that. Let's go ahead and get started.
All right.
We
yeah.
don't have the show next week either. I mean, that's how lazy they are.
I was going to get to that later on in the episode, but yes, no show either next week, Tuesday, for the original Tuesday crew because we'll be at Bet Bash. So, yeah, I'll have you know, though, I'm feeling refreshed. I've taken the Monday off, really helped out getting me recharged and ready to go for an incredible episode of Circle Back. I will say the number one complainer about us taking time off is Mr. Joey Knish. And I feel like I've earned the time off with how much time I've had to wait for him to do these damn recordings. So,
well, you're the only guy, north of the border that worked for the Hammer that's actually put in a shift in the last 2 weeks. So I'm told Rob to give you a little double time or something for the Bet Bash.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. All right. Speaking of getting shafted with time, let's start up here with our first topic of the day. It's the WNBA. And I mean, I don't know what else we could start with here on a sports betting show. I mean, Dave Mason running absolutely buck wild with this whole phallic objects being thrown on the WNBA court. For those who don't know, and those who've been living under a rock, in the past week or so, we've seen 3 separate times where for lack of a better word, phallic object has been thrown on the WNBA court. We've seen players kick them off. We've seen players or staff pick it up with a towel. And I mean, it happened again. This was on August 5th. Listen, I'm going to avoid saying the word because we can't really say this within the first 5 minutes. But a green phallic object has been dropped on the court for a 3rd time. And Dave Mason working overtime, posting lines. Recap the color. It's green, which was minus 175. Which side of the court it will land on. The home side wins at minus 110. How it will be handled, kick/feet winner, minus 135. I mean, so many other funny things to see. This is one of the best, I think, gambling stories of the past week. Dave Mason waking up in the middle of the night just to kind of grade this stuff. How do you guys feel about these sorts of markets or these sorts of things that get posted where it's like almost an anomaly that happens? Listen, Knish, I know your girl, Sophie Cunningham, she said, hey, guys, relax, slow down. Some of us could get hurt here. And she actually got hit with one of these objects. So as a fan of the WNBA, how do you feel about this stuff happening? And how do you feel about these markets being posted?
Well, I mean, Listen, this to me is like the WNBA content this year has been electric. Whether it was the Angel and CC battle, this is why the league is exploding. I love it. Now, has it gone a little bit? You know, I saw the last kid who did it got arrested. His mugshots out there, and that. Do you probably have to curtail a little bit? But I mean, again, for the last week, we're leading the show with it. This is like the best bit in sports. I wish that, to me, if Joey K was the commissioner, maybe we lean into it a little bit. Maybe there's then a Sophie Cunningham branded, one of those, or, maybe, we start really, gearing up and getting the things going because people are buying it. It's going out. So it's catching attention. So, yeah, I understand you probably can't have people throwing them from the third deck, hitting somebody in the head with it, but I would capitalize on this.
I mean, yeah, I mentioned it last time. We've seen the Florida Panthers with the rats. They throw the rats on the ice after the win. Maybe for the Indiana Fever, we can get green phallic objects being thrown on the ice. Let's make them rubber, though, and like a little bit safer to throw instead of the silicone ones that they have out there, because I think those might hurt. I don't know. Knish, you would know better than me. Fluff, do you have any opinion on this matter?
I echo Nish's thoughts here that this is just top content, very, very elite. And I would just caution those betting into this. This is an information. I'm not going to say don't bet it because this is like preseason type betting. It's going to be very profitable, but only bet it if you have the information. So this is an information market. If you're betting it out of a hunch, you're probably punting. So just a little caution there. You can make some money with this.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about quote making some money on this. We have Scott Barrett, DFB at Scott Barrett DFB on Twitter saying Infinity, spelled wrong, money glitch. Buy a WNBA ticket, $29.99. Buy a blue phallic object, $15. Max bet blue phallic object at $5,000, which I don't think is possible based on the limits, but I'm sure there's ways around it. And then throw said phallic object onto the court. Profit 69. Let's just call it 69,420 just for the sake of this episode. And then another tweet coming from Abnormally Distributed. Someone who joined Polymarket in the last couple of days bought 19,000 shares of phallic object. Yes, at 68 cents as their only trade. How lucky. Listen, this guy might have a plan, but there's been an update to this story. As of, I believe, recording, they've stopped allowing bags into WNBA games. So it might be a little bit tougher to sneak in these objects.
Not impossible, though.
Not impossible. You're right. There's ways of doing it. We can go into the many different ways, but Mike, I know you sometimes like to bet into like more of these like niche information based markets. Do you have anything here? Was that you maybe on this market or no?
Yeah, I'm the one person who wins consistently on the Kalshi props given out in this market. Flup actually before the show was explaining how you could get it into the game. And had some diagrams he was showing us. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, I think that they say that those who people make their own luck. In this situation, if you want to get lucky on a bet, you have to go in there and you have to do what needs to be done. If you really want to win in this market, if you want to win in this sports gambling thing, you have to show that you won it. And I think no better way to show partners and potential people that want to work with you that you're willing to do what it takes to get a betting win.
Oh my gosh. All right. This is already going off the rails. 6 minutes in. Thank God I had a little bit of time off because I was not ready for this. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear the commenters' thoughts in the comment section down below. I mean, like we've seen this stuff all over Twitter. I want to hear if you guys have an opinion on it. If you like it, if you don't like it, if you feel like, excuse me, it's gone way too far, pull the flup there. Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let's get to the next topic where we'd like to talk about big things with small markets. But this one coming from our sponsors over at Kalshi. It's about the NFL and trades this offseason. Just as a quick reminder, if you want to sign up to Kalshi at any point throughout the show, check out the link in the description. You click that link and you sign up through there. Help support us. So if you haven't been on Kalshi yet and you want to bet on this kind of stuff, make sure you use that link in the description. I mean, as you can see right here, guys, trades this offseason. I know the NFL is coming around the corner. It's about 28 days away, 27 days from when you're probably watching this. And we see guys like Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk, even Micah Parsons potentially getting traded this offseason with a bunch of different odds. Knish, I know you're a football guy. Let's start, or sorry, excuse me. Flop, I know you're a football guy. Let's start with you on this one. Any opinion on this market at all? Anyone you're looking to take, or is this just more of like a case where you almost take all the no's or as many no's as you can?
Honestly, I think all the no's here, besides Ayuk, is pretty good. Maybe Trey Hendrickson, but like Micah Parsons is way too valuable. That just like his trade request is clear negotiating tactic. I wouldn't worry about that at all. I saw some clip the other day of like top 5 Jaden Daniel plays, and they all involve Terry McLaurin. Like I doubt they give up Terry McLaurin when they have a rookie contract with Jaden Daniels, so they have extra money to spend. The Bengals owner is like notorious for being cheap, so I could totally see him getting moved. And then Ayuk, maybe because they just paid Brock Purdy, but even then, I think Kyle Shanahan really wants a Super Bowl ring, and Ayuk is very important to that. So mortgaging the future seems like something they would do. So I would lean towards no on everything, but like maybe pass on Trey Hendrickson and be the only one.
Yeah, for sure. And again, reminder, this is like a low liquidity market. There's only $4,000 spent. This is rather new market as well. But there's a bunch of other names listed as well. Mike, do you have any opinion on this kind of stuff here?
Yeah, in general for these, I think betting on something not to happen is your best bet. This is kind of like the old Super Bowl props that Rufus would talk about, where you just bet on nothing to happen, and it's the boring bet that's more likely to pay off. No, nice thing with Kalshi on some of these is the interest you earn, so you're not tying up money, because obviously you're going to be laying a huge number, like 88%, 90% on a lot of these. I actually bet no on some of the NBA trades for the offseason, different guys that I just thought were unlikely to get moved. So yeah, NFL, I'm not as up to date just because I spend so much time on college, but I would say in general for these, bet on nothing to happen is like the general rule of thumb that I would go for.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do. Knish, any more thoughts on this, or let's move on to the next subject?
No, I would tend to, echo those sentiments. I think just in the NFL, in most cases, where in the NBA, the trade request, the player empowerment can kind of leverage that with the agents and like a trade request has a lot more, a trade demand has a lot more. In the NFL, you don't have a lot of ways out. The CBA is also extremely punitive to like where they can just start fining you massive amounts of money if you start skipping workouts, skipping camps and that. So I would tend to lean where in most cases it's just a negotiation thing. The trade's too complex. And I think that your value is pretty much always going to be on betting nothing to happen.
Yeah, pretty much makes sense here. And a reminder, you can always sign up to Kalshi using the link in the description, or if you want to take a look on screen, you're watching on YouTube or through Spotify, you can scan the QR code on screen right now in the bottom right-hand corner, take you right to their website. You can sign up through that code, or like I said before, link in the description to sign up to Kalshi. Let's stick with the NFL here. And I mean, let's talk about one of my least favorite, I don't want to call him least favorite follows on Twitter, but least favorite guy to ever see on my For You page. And that's Ben Fox talking about how one Vegas odds maker, I'm doing air quotes for those listening, on the Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff in quotations. I think he's in a system that fits him much better. If you put Hendon Hooker in there and change the offense a little bit, I think he'd look just as good, which I mean is just an absolute abomination of a take. Quickly, before we get into the next slide, this tweet has 200,000 views and 100 likes. So, I mean, it has the reach. I don't know how he's getting this many impressions, but not too many people agreeing with that, including our very own Rob Pizzola saying, tell that odds maker to stick to moving off sharp action because that is as dull as a butter knife. This may be one of the worst takes I've ever seen. And then following that up one more time, Andrew Brandt on Twitter saying Vegas odds maker / Hendon Hooker's agent, who I mean is doing great legwork for his client. Can't blame the agent there. Mike, I'll let you lead on this one.
The Vegas odds maker thing has become such a crutch by people who actually know what they're talking about. And what they are doing, almost certainly, I can't say for sure, I don't know who his sources are, is talking to some low-level trader who's willing to give an opinion because it's meaningless. Because people don't understand any better and they think, oh, the book set these lines, they think that this has any kind of weight or any kind of value to it. You might as well be saying random fan that we polled inside of Detroit Stadium said this. It means nothing. Depending on where it comes from, obviously there's different people that he could talk to. I'm fairly certain that this is some trader for a company that moves, that is, a softer book that's just basically copying penny lines. It's a meaningless kind of attribution that people think matters. So it's kind of that perfect zone for somebody to use if they're trying to make someone sound more important than they are.
Yeah, listen, I'll give people credit where credit is due. I'm a fan. I don't want to say I'm a fan, but like I respect when people do engagement bait and engagement bait well. This is good engagement bait, but like if you know anything about this kind of stuff, it's absolutely ridiculous. Flop. Any thoughts on this engagement baiting?
I think I would just add to Mike's sentiment here is even more respected people that are on the other side of the counter. Like I've seen Jeff Benson post like odds and he's missed the mark. I don't mean to bash him in any way. I really respect him, but it just goes to show that you could even be working at a sharp book as an odds maker or on that side of the counter. I know he's not in the trading department and still not get it right. So like Mike said, these odds makers takes are worthless. Even someone like Matt Metcalf might not have the best opinion here because his opinion is only based off of others' opinions, not his own. So, I'm curious what resident Detroit Lions fans thinks of Jared Goff. They probably think he's a top 3 quarterback and worth 20 points against the spread, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, one of the worst takes I've seen when you're talking about a first ballot Hall of Famer in Goff to go. Here's all I'll say about Hendon Hooker. Before the playoffs last year, the Lions went out and signed Teddy Bridgewater off of the high school coaching ranks from the bleachers to be the backup quarterback for the team in the playoffs instead of going with Hendon Hooker, who's been on the team for 2 years. So how much faith can you have in the guy and think that, oh my God, like this is our next guy, like if anything happens to Goff, when you're signing a guy who hasn't played football in a year, who's coaching high school football, who then had to come in one of the playoff games, they actually went to Bridgewater. I'm not going to tell you Goff's like the greatest thing, but there's not a moment of Hendon Hooker's career where I've been like, okay, that's our next guy. So yeah, I don't know where that one came from, but yeah, I would say credit to Mr. Fox for getting the spicy take out there.
I wonder if he just asked them to say these things so that he can say that a bookmaker said this thing. Because I don't know who in their right mind would actually say that. But I mean, it is what it is. We also just saw Flop call out Jeff Benson here on the show. The week, a couple days before we go to bed.
Jason, he also said Metcalf has no idea what he's talking about because he only gets his opinions from other people, which is rich coming from a top-down bettor. Getting all his opinions from other people is just suddenly a crime.
I never said it was bad. I was just pointing out that you can miss the mark as an odds maker, and I don't think Benson would ever have a take this bad. The only time he'd miss it, Benson when he misses it's usually like by a point or two. It's nothing. This is like missing the mark by like 30 points. So Mike is trying to slander me, which is a terrible look.
Listen, the people can check the tape. Speaking of missing the mark, Flop, you completely missed the mark with that take. Anyways, let's move on to the next subject, which we have here, which is continuing the trend of apparently of missing the mark. And this comes from a bipartisan coalition of 50 attorney generals are missing the mark when they're trying to crack down on offshore gambling. They want websites blocked, assets seized, access to banks and payment processors cut off. The betting community was not a fan of this stuff. Where the A to Gs advised the offshore sportsbooks over the last 20 years devise a system where they don't use U.S. banks, processors, or TLDs. So there's not much the DOJ can do. It seems like a futile effort here from the government. One more from Spanky, where he mentioned that this plan looks like it was drafted 15 years ago. It's comical. He lists a bunch of other things that lawmakers can do that can kind of help make the domestic product better instead of trying to curtail people from going offshore, those things being stopped kicking out or severely limiting winning bettors, repeal the stupid new tax law, which we might get into later, make the withdrawal process just as easy as the deposit process, which I think everyone wishes was possible, reduce the barrier of entry for new operators to drive up competition, and then limit the greedy, insane operator tax rate in some states, which inevitably gets trickled down to the consumer. Mike, I had you lead last time. Flep, I know you wanted to talk about this one, so I'll let you lead this time. Any thoughts on this here?
Yeah, this is just a classic like effort to posture and raise donations. Like that's all they're trying to do. They have no shot at getting this overturned and kicking those operators out. They're just trying to pretend like they're doing good, so people donate to them. People, as in, sportsbook operators donate to them because they take business away from them. I thought Spanky laid out some actual good points there. They'll never listen to that because that doesn't really affect their bottom line. But faking like this, words are easy to do. Let's see if there's some actual action. They can't do it because they have no power.
Yeah, fair enough. Any opinion from you here, Knish?
I mean, I love that Spanky tweet was really good because I do think there was a point in time, if you're old enough, where I think there was some actual risk to the offshore industry. And then over the last 10 or 15 years, they made a bunch of modifications to basically get around all of that, whether it be the domain names, Bitcoin coming in, and not having to use U.S. processors anymore. Everything moves outside of U.S. jurisdiction. So it's it looks, if you've been, out to lunch or you're just somebody in the, who's a normie who reads that and is like, oh yeah, that's good stuff. If you're actually in the weeds, that the time to actually do anything about that has long passed.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point from both of you guys here. It seems like all the time these lawmakers, people in charge, don't really know or understand what's going on in this space, and they'll often create laws or implement things that might push people. They'll think it will make people stop going offshore or make people bet more domestically, but in reality, the opposite is what ends up happening. Mike, final thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm not as smart as these guys. I wasn't aware how futile it was until Spanky's tweet. And thank God, because PB has some funds tied up in .ag, .eu, and .lv websites. So I was happy to hear that this is sounds like it's not going to really affect much, and I'm glad it's not. We already have one legal battle going on with the gambling community. I don't think we can handle war on two fronts.
Well,
The only way, if I'm playing devil's advocate, the only way I think there would be any is if the U.S. was then able to lean on or leverage a country like Costa Rica or Curacao or one of those that host, a number of these sites. Do I think that's realistic? No, because they get so much. Those countries get a ton of money from licensing gaming, but that would be the path forward for me to see like any type of actual enforcement is if you got those governments to go against them, which seems unlikely.
I'm shocked. That might be the smartest thing you've ever said on this channel, Joey Knish. I respect you. I applaud you for it.
Hey, you know what? I got a few more Jared Goff takes coming up too later on.
All right. I love it. From one bad piece of legislation, I guess we'll call it, to another. I'm sure this has been on the forefront of everyone's mind, in the gambling space. If you live in the United States, an update from the Advancing American Freedom, which is, I believe it's run by Mike Pence. Listen, I don't know too much about it here, but it seems like what they're trying to do is stop the momentum that's been built and the sentiment around the bettors, just try and stop that in stopping the bill. So all of us are trying to come together to stop this bill from happening. This Advancing American Freedom seems like they want to kibosh that momentum that's been built up, led by Mike Pence. I mean, Chris, you probably know more than me on this one, so I guess I'll let you take the reins here.
Yeah, so the process to overturn this is going to be pretty difficult, and there's two really main paths that can go on here. One, the bill that Dina Titus has put up, it's nice, but it's just a gesture. It will never, ever hit the floor because Republicans will never allow that. They want the credit for it. They're not going to let some Democrat do it. That's just politics. So I know we're supporting her at Bet Bash. It's nice, but unfortunately it has no real legs. The real way you get this stopped is with a budget reconciliation bill, which can only occur post September 30th. And I think realistically the earliest could be November. And then they'll tack on all bills that affect tax there. So this will be one small part of it. And in the grand scheme of things, this like 100% to 90% budget decrease or for tax deduction doesn't really affect enough people and enough people to care about it that it will be its own separate bill, and it's going to have to be put on to with budget reconciliation. Now, if there even is one, is currently up for debate right now. So that's the I guess the more difficult way that this could get fixed, and it doesn't even seem that likely at this point, in my opinion, especially to fix it by the end of the year. It could get fixed sometime next year, but that would still suck. The other way is unclear what a session is, and if Treasury were to rule on what a session is and define it as 1 quarter or 1 year, that would also effectively fix this as well. And all these other bills, like I know Ted Cruz had the Full House Act, and we have Dina Titus with the Fair Bet Act. Like, it's all posturing. It's unfortunately it's nothing. It sounds nice to people that aren't in politics and don't know what they're looking at. There's nothing they can do. This American Freedom Act or whatever, fight against that. That's also mostly posturing. They are backed by Republicans, and the Republicans passed the bill. So anything against that bill is against Republicans, and that's really what it is. They don't care they don't care about gambling at all. It's all posturing. They don't want Republican legislation getting overturned. That's all it is. So, I mean, it's all fake, and like they're using fake examples. They're not that stupid at this point. They've had so much time to research it. They're just being dishonest on purpose here.
I thought I don't want to follow that up.
Yeah.
You go. I've got about 3% as much knowledge as Fluff on this, so I don't want to be the guy who follows the guy here. Well said, my friend.
Yeah, just two classic Midwestern guys here. We can't understand that East Coast nonsense that Fluff's talking about. Yeah, just tell me where to put the money in the kiosk next time. I can't handle this.
Joe, the only thing so you actually don't think you would put like whatever your fare would be that this gets overturned in 2025?
No. So I will be fully transparent here. I did bet that this would get overturned on Kalshi at 68 cents or 63 cents, I think, a little bit ago. A couple of weeks ago, I made the fare at that point closer to 80 or 90. I know I said at 98%, but I'm probably closer to what the price I got it now. So I wouldn't buy more at the current price. I think the market is actually pretty accurate here. However, Treasury ruling that that one session is 1 quarter or 1 year is effectively the same thing as overturning it. Because if the session is 1 year, then, if you lose, you're still going to lose and you're still going to net it. And the only thing that would really affect is if you had like business deductions against it, but that was very, very small impact at all. Where if they rule a session is like 1 day or one like sit down cash game poker session, that would be devastating to it. And that doesn't count as repealing the bill, but it does the same thing. So that might be an additional like 30 or 35% equity of happening, which I'm still like optimistic that a fix will get done by the end of the year. It just might not be in the way that we want, which is just a repeal of it. But getting Treasury to rule that one session is 1 quarter or 1 year is the same thing and accomplishes the same thing.
Yeah, if someone can just like gif the spinning wheel on top of my head here as I try and process what Fluff said there. Listen, this is all stuff going over my head, but I know it's useful for the listeners. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing really more to add. We have the expert on here talking about the stuff that he knows about. Chris, good stuff with that. Fluff, good stuff with that. Let's move on to, if you're ready, let's move on to the next topic. But before we move on to the next topic, we have like a little bit of we'll call it an announcement, I guess, because we have a new show coming to the Hammer HQ YouTube channel, and you can go subscribe to that Hammer channel in the link in the description. It's a daily show running Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. start time, noon Eastern, hosted by, guess who? Yours truly. But don't worry, it's not just me. We'll have a bunch of guests here, including Fluff, including Knish, including hopefully Mike. I don't know yet if it's been confirmed that you're on there yet, but well, a little bit more work for you. But yeah, we'll be having a bunch of guests on. We'll have a ton of fun here. It's basically a daily sports talk show, meets betting, meets sharp bets. We'll cover everything from the NFL, college football, basketball, all the way to F1, golf, tennis, everything you can think of in between. Of course, it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're going to miss me as I hand the torch back to Jacob on this channel, go head over to the Hammer HQ YouTube channel. Link in the description. Go subscribe. We'll have that new show coming very soon in the pipeline. I promise you, it will not be a waste of your time. And speaking of wasting people's times, we have Farley Betts, who, has a pretty interesting tweet here. Most of the time you listen to an NFL and sports betting show. Excuse me. Most of the time one more time. Most of what you listen to on NFL and sports
Keep
betting
that in.
shows. What did you say? What was that?
Keep that in.
All right. I'll keep it in. Most of what you listen to on NFL and sports betting shows are wasting your time. Podcasters are paid to sound smart and overanalyze granular aspects of the game, but beating the spread in the NFL is far less about the micro and far more about the macro intangibles like coaching, on-field leadership, and performance in the clutch, which is probably why most podcasters are terrible at real betting. Too much focus on extraneous data. If podcasters are paid to be smart, to sound smart and overanalyze, what am I doing here? All right.
Give me this one. Give me this
Knish,
one. All right.
Fire away.
As a guy who's paid to sound smart on multiple shows, and maybe not even sound that smart, but at least bring some level of entertainment. The one thing, this is always, people sometimes, this take kind of recirculates every once in a while. Let's say that I had the best numbers in all of the world on college football, and I came on to hit the books every Monday, and I said, you know what, my number is basically the closing line every single time, and I said, I make that game, Houston versus Florida State, 8.6. That's it. That's all you got. That is that, and then boom. Who the fuck is gonna listen to me just show up and say that's my fare, 8.6? No other analysis, no other there. We'll go to the next game, 8.6. Like, to me, there's a big element in sports content and sports part that is, you have to talk about those things. You have to get some granularity. You have to, even go to narrative street and a little bit, crazy, because that's what people want to hear. There is no entertainment if you're just like a robot. I can look at a spreadsheet and see fares. I don't need to listen to an hour podcast. It's an art form. It's entertainment. It's what you want to listen to. And even like, I know going into some college football podcasts or NFL podcasts, maybe these aren't the sharpest guy in the world, but there's an element. I still listen to Bill Simmons after 20 years. Do I think Bill Simmons knows shit about helping me beat the NFL? No. But there's an entertainment value there that I get out of it that I value, and which a bunch of podcasts out there, that's the model they use. So is he technically, I don't know, right? Is there some truth in that statement? Sure. But you don't listen, like the best bettors, most of the greatest bettors in the world, the smartest, are not the people who are going to then, one, go on a podcast and share everything about their numbers every single week, and two, offer any type of entertainment.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, one of my favorite shows that I listen to in season and in the off season is Hit the Books. And I mean, yours truly is on that show. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but still listen to it. Still actually a lot of fun. I'd argue it's one of the best college football shows out there. And I'm not biased at all because I actually kind of don't like Joey Knish. I don't know if you guys heard that. But anyways, Flup, you're a constant contributor to Forward Progress here on the Hammer Betting Network. Do you have any opinions on this take here?
Actually, I got a question for Mike related to this take here, because Farley talked about, you have to, it's like ball knowledge. You need to look at things like coaching tendencies, but can't you quantify that? Like, I know you do this a lot, Mike, like in college football, can't you look at like, hey, a head coach goes for it more, that affects the total X amount. Like, can't you just like actually quantify this?
Well, first I want to say, if you really want to waste some time, have Jason try to read off a tweet to you. That will waste half a day trying to listen to him do that.
I'll take that.
No, I mean, as Joey K's favorite Hit the Books listener, he knows I know how to bitch about a podcast. So what I want from a podcast is I want to hear every little piece of data that I might be missing and incorporating into my numbers. So there's just, especially college football, so it's a little different for NFL. There's so much going on. You just want to get as much info as you can, so that way you can look at what you're projecting as a number and adjust it accordingly. Or maybe most frequently, you're going to have something that you're missing due to adverse selection. So why am I making this number 7 when it should really, like, in the rest of the market's 3? If you're listening to a pod, you might be like, oh, there's something that I'm missing there. So in this kind of case, the details are what you want to listen to. So I think it's, at first I thought he was going to go into these giant matchups and how people can get too focused on one thing and things like that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's one of those that I agree. I've listened to some other especially some of the ones that I've seen you comment on during the season, just to find some nuggets out there that where, yes, maybe for 45 or 50 minutes, it was a lot of stuff that I already knew, or for a number of stuff you already have baked in. But there's those, those 3 minute, 5 minutes, something, the way of thinking that somebody else has that I like to get that opinion in, or maybe they have something, or maybe they have a piece of news about somebody, through a source or an injury or something that I don't have. So I do think there's value in kind of gathering a lot of sources and other material. And listen, even if you're just doing it for, the enjoy or the listen and stuff like that, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think Mike said that with adverse selection is probably the most important thing here, because if you've ever seen a line move against you and you don't know why, that's the scariest thing. So listening to all those details, hey, maybe you missed something, or maybe people are truly just overvaluing one thing that you think is not as important as they might think it is, or make it in terms of the spread. So that can be really helpful. So having all those little details really important and really can help you get fucked in some really bad spots.
Yeah. I was going to say, and jokes aside, I do like Hit the Bugs, but there are shows I listen to for college football that I genuinely don't like that much, just because they're going into detail on stuff that I wasn't able to catch up on over the weekend, or especially some of these like smaller level conferences. So the more details, the better. I don't need someone to give me their opinion on James Franklin or on Dabo Sweeney or those things. I have an opinion on that. What I don't have an opinion on is how the backup quarterback for Southern Miss played when he had to come in due to injury last year. So the fact that he's mad that these people are giving you details, it's like, I don't need them for the big stuff. Everybody knows how to do the big stuff, or they at least have their own process for it. You're not going to get value there. Where you can get value is on the edges.
Yeah, that's well said. It's important to be granular about stuff. Well, some people might not like it. It seems like it can help you down the road. And speaking of being granular with things, on Twitter at Nick Jarris over here, Nicholas Jarris would have paid off a little bit if he was a little bit more granular. And you know what? Read the sportsbook rules. Got to be granular here, because he went on a little bit of a complaining spree on Twitter after he had a bet on Chase Burns to go over 8 strikeouts, but the game which he started ended up getting postponed. And Chase Burns only played 1 inning. And of course, the postponement in baseball, the chance of that pitcher playing again is very unlikely. So he felt that it was unfair for his bet not to get voided, as it was almost impossible for Chase Burns to get the 8 strikeouts if there was only 1 inning played and the game got postponed. But Bettor, I think, comes in with a very good take here. This is a rare instance where I'm on the sportsbook side. Read the rules, accept the results. We are gambling at the end of the day. I mean, why should the sportsbook have to cover for if there's a rainy day and a game gets postponed? It's in the rules that if the game starts and the listed pitcher is starting, the bet stands regardless of postponement. So I'm in agreement with that. A couple other people in agreement as well. At Hey Rosenberg, Adam Rosenberg said the amount of people who bet and don't read the house rules kind of blows my mind. And then finally from Hoffy8121, Max Hoffmeyer, this may be an unpopular opinion, but if you are betting a substantial amount of money, you should be checking weather reports and house rules. If you're betting not a substantial amount of money, didn't check the weather, and then blame the book, that is some loser mentality. Mike, I'll let you lead with this one here. What are your thoughts on someone who's, betting on sports, not checking the rules? Do you feel like they have the right to complain here, or do you think these are all good takes from the Twitterverse?
Well, it's a shame Kirk's not here, to go on and defend the sports book here. But I think to a point, yes. Obviously, the rule has to be within reason. The sports book can't say that if, something, can't make a rule that actually if the player doesn't play at all and you bet on something and they're scratched late, that you still lose that bet. But, he has to play for it to hit. Like, there has to be some kind of house rules that are reasonable, but as long as they're reasonable, and with weather delays in baseball, they're pretty much all reasonable to me, because you can take so many different stances on it. To not know the rules and then to complain about it is wild. Have I fired into a few markets and not done the legwork that I should have? Yes, but I wouldn't be crazy enough to blame the book on that. You see this happen all the time with overs in baseball games that are rained out, and they say, what happened to my over? It already hit, but the game was delayed or whatever. And, this happens at least a couple times a year with baseball, it seems, specifically.
Yeah, I think that's so fair. Go ahead, Chris.
Mike, I got to disagree with you on the part about the house rules being reasonable, because if it's in the house rules, doesn't it not matter? Like, if it's reasonable or not, don't bet there if you don't like the house rules. I mean, what's the issue? I'm not sure how you can make that argument. If they want to make it in their house rules, if a pitcher gets scratched, you still lose if you bet is over. That's fine. Just don't bet there if you don't like the house rules. Like, I don't understand your argument from that.
So I would say for a normal bettor, it's not reasonable to expect them to check the house rules on every single market that they bet into, no matter what. So if you were to, the most extreme example of this, say that if you bet a side and a green dildo gets tossed onto the floor, the bet is void. That would, to me, I would say that you have a right to be like, hey, what are we doing here? Why are you voiding this bet, even if it's in the rules? So as long as it's something, again, with baseball, and that to me is well within, I would have a very large window of what I consider reasonable in this case. I would say that it would have to be something, totally nonsensical for me to think it's upsetting, or otherwise I totally agree with you. I just saying, all fans aren't going to read the rules for every market. As long as you make it your most fair attempt, I think that's a reasonable attempt by the book.
Yeah, I think that's fair from both you guys here. I think there's kind of sort of differing points of view, but an agreement in the end there. I think it's fair if, like you said, Mike, if you feel like an unfair rule is there and you tweet about it, that's fine, complain about it. But if it's a weather delay, which happens all the time in sports, and this is pretty common occurrence, I mean, like, shouldn't be complaining about that. I feel like that's kind of like what Max said at the end there, loserish behavior. Knish, any input here before we move on?
I think there was, sports books kind of opened the can of worms on this with the injury voiding a while back, and then they've never really been able to put the paste back in the tube here of you get people that. The only thing I'll say is I would wait. I'd love to know if you can go in somebody's account and how you can like click track on what they're going into, what percentage of users who have placed a bet have ever actually read the house rules? Because I would think it's like less than 10%.
Less than 2%, less than 1%.
Less than 1%, guys. If I poll all my friends who bet on sports, I guarantee you zero of them have read the house rules.
Yeah,
I think
so again, I know books, that's the language, that's what you'll use, but when you start voiding bets in the past for trivial reasons, you get people like this who then expect a refund or a void for a very trivial reason, even though that now seems on its way. It's one of those things that's very hard to unpack now that people have used to it.
I got to disagree again here with the trivial.
Kirk supporter.
Is Kirk in here? What's going on here? Is Kirk in the room with you? Show us the room.
On the side, I got to get
Whoa! I'm not coming in defense of the sports book. I'm coming in defense of the player. This is not a trivial, void in my opinion. This is a kind of a niche spot. How often is there a rain delay and it causes the pitcher to get pulled in that specific spot? Like, that's pretty niche. It's not like the pitcher got injured. If the pitcher got injured and he's complaining, I kind of agree with you guys here. But I actually think he's got a valid complaint here that it's a pretty specific spot, and it's like hard to plan. Like an injury, like a rain delay. Obviously, they can't. They're worried about pitcher rest and everything like that. So I kind of think the sports books are a little out of line here, and you guys are the ones defending the sports book. You're the Kirk Evans, not me.
I don't think that rain delays are that rare that a starting pitcher gets taken out for a rain delay semi-regularly. I would say it happens more than an injury, just eyeballing it.
I guess for what it's worth, I don't bet a ton of baseball, so maybe
either do I. I don't bet baseball at all, but just eyeballing it.
It just seems like one that you would go on and be like, like if this happened to me, like it'd be more like a LOL. I posted, be like, Burns over 8 strikeouts. He threw 4 pitches or something. I wouldn't go to, FanDuel and be like, I need my money back right now. It's just, it's kind of the incorrect line of thinking that I'm more having an issue with.
Yeah. I would complain that I was running bad, not complain to the books.
Yeah.
And another thing I'm going to throw in there is that you can just kind of tell. Listen, I don't know much about Nick Jarvis here, but you can kind of tell the way he's wording stuff and his response. It's one of the things he said was 2 of 3 in my parlay hits. I need void bets. Like, I think we know what type of bettor he is. The
I
real
actually,
question,
Jason, it's funny you picked up on that because I saw this almost in real time,
Yeah.
like maybe 20 minutes after he tweeted it. Was gonna go dunk on him, then like read the text exchanged, looked down his timeline real quick, and was like, I'm just gonna let that one go by. Like I'll stick to the. I'm sure Nick's a very nice guy in real life, but
I've always said, Joey, you're known for your restraint on Twitter.
Empathy is always my number one trait.
Oh man, definitely didn't pass the smell test there. I mean, the real question though is, what happens more often, a pitcher getting kicked or pulled out of a game from a rain delay or a grand slam on a full slate? That's an inside baseball reference to last week. Hopefully you were listening there. Speaking about more baseball, we have some questions about volatility from Giuseppe Paps on Twitter, saying, always funny hearing cappers say that they can't wait for the NFL because MLB is too volatile. I've modeled both extensively. MLB isn't just more predictable, it's in a different universe. At least it's a dead giveaway. They have no idea what they're talking about here. Listen, I'm not someone who models MLB or NFL. I guess Mike, maybe you're probably better suited to talk about this than me, but is this a dead giveaway for cappers?
I mean, I again don't bet baseball, but everything I've seen is that baseball is the most solved market that there is. It's 10-cent lines. Everything's as thin as possible. You go to the game and the guy sitting in the third row is keeping score and knows the pitcher's spin rate of his last 14 outings and things like that. So this is it's an individual sport. There's a million stats on it. It's by far, I think, the most analytics friendly. It seems pretty reasonable that it's going to have the least amount of variance compared to a game played with egg-shaped football that is heavily decided on turnovers, which are very random, as we know. So I pretty much agree with everything that he put in the tweet, and it is probably a dead giveaway if you're complaining about the variance in baseball.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's, just to pack up Mike's, but there's, I think, 2,400, some 2,430 or some odd games in a baseball season compared to like, what is it, 270, 272 or something in an NFL season. So you've got like 10 times the amount of actual samples and games to go over. So, over the course, like, you could be making good numbers in the NFL and have a losing season just because there's not enough of a sample. You might only have 50 bets in a season, whereas MLB, you're going to have, hundreds, if not thousands of plays over that sample. So yeah, that's, I think it's a strong tweet.
I'm also curious. I don't bet enough baseball to know the answer to this, but I wonder how many teams that started in the ranked by preseason odds in baseball as like a bottom 5 or bottom 10 team that ended in the top 5 or top 10.
Yeah.
Probably my guess would be not that many. Whereas in football, I could take a couple examples just last year where the Commanders and my Jets were like two good teams. Like the Jets we thought would be a top 10, ended up bottom 10, and the Commanders I thought would be bottom 10 and ended up top 10.
Yeah.
So
49ers go to the Super Bowl, miss the playoffs.
Exactly. Well, that was more injury, but still, like, there's so many examples of like massive change and variance in the NFL and baseball. Like Mike said, it's just individual sport that they play in a team environment.
Yeah.
To that point, Flup, I think Impredictable did a study. He got some good work over there where it goes over the volatility of each sport. And I believe MLB was by far the lowest. And it also gives you don't have teams that are secretly kind of bad that masquerade as good halfway through the season, where like in the NFL, you might have a team that, Vegas odds makers might know isn't that good and they're 8-2 and they're doing whatever. In baseball, you can tell right away, game 20, there's a team that's 4-16. You're like, oh yeah, we have 140 more games of this.
My favorite example of this is this was like a couple years ago. It was like like a 12-1 Vikings were playing at the Cowboys or something like that, and it was like the Cowboys were favored. And what does Vegas know? Like what is going on? That stuff happens. I love it when that happens in the NFL, where like they have a bad team that's luck boxed a couple like weird round shaped turnovers, and they get a better record, so that the fans think, oh, they're a good team because of the record, when they're actually quite bad.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, plays right into the volatility we were talking about here. We're about to get into your comments, and as a reminder, if you ever want to get in on the show, drop your comments down below. We run through them and take a look at them every single week. Also on Twitter, #CircleBack. You guys help out with the process of this show. If you guys want to have your voice heard, be in the conversation, #CircleBack on Twitter. Before we get into those comments, though, one word here from Kirk, because Kirk was so mad he missed the Tuesday show. He wanted to get a word in. So, Kirk, take it away.
What's up? Kirk Evans here. If there's one thing bettors need more of, it's accountability. If you disagree with something I've said, call it out. If you've got a better angle, share it. If your comment starts with, "You sim," congrats, you're very original. But seriously, the comments are where the real value is. Iron sharpens iron. And if you've got something to add, I want to hear it. Scroll down, drop a take, and let's have the kind of conversation you don't get on the timeline.
All right, Kirk, thanks for that. No sportsbook simping there, maybe a little bit. We'll see. But let's get right into the comments here. Starting off with this one from, I don't even know how I would say this guy's name. Vicus Maker. There he is. There should be a separate pod for Joey K. Is this actually your cousin?
No, but
okay.
If he wants to join the family, I'd let him after this.
All right. So. Saying there should be a separate pod for Joey K. He's the star of the show. Though he takes everyone's screen time, the man is totally unhinged. Knish, I'll let you take this one. You want your own show?
I saw someone comment to me on Twitter the other day about one of the chops we did from last week that was like, "Lay off the caffeine, buddy. Here's the rub. I've been off it for 2 years, my man. That's all right here. That still comes out. I don't even need it." So appreciate that, Vicus. But no, listen, it wouldn't be a true circle back without all members of the team here. So you don't want to hear me. You know what? Just to go way off the bat, there's something, I said this in a group chat this week. There's something I find very odd about people who do solo shows. Like Jim Rome, like when he would just when it's just you, or like the Josh Pate CFB show, when it's just you talking into a camera, like to nobody, I find that dynamic, like those people always to me seem a little off. Like there's no back and forth. There's no nothing. There's just you talking for an hour to like the screen. That's a weird concept to me. So yeah, I don't know. The solo thing is a weird thing, but hey, glad you're enjoying the show, my man. I appreciate you.
Great way to segue into our Hammer Daily show that we have coming out, hosted only by me. But don't worry, there'll be guests.
There's going to be guests in the thing. Like they're right. There'll be some back and forth.
There will be back and forth. I was just busting your balls there, just playing around. Last week, everyone was all over Chris, giving him a ton of love. This week, giving Knish love. We have to flip the trend here. Chris, you're getting shit on a bit. Is this Chris guy okay? Stutters even over the MLB scandal, and I stuttered as I'm saying it. Chris, any response to @Chris Wright 3097, your namesake brother, calling you out?
I mean, that's not very nice. In all seriousness, I know I stutter. It is who I am. You just got to take it.
And he's not okay, Chris. Just to remember, that's totally separate from the stuttering, but he's not okay.
Not okay, but knows a lot about the tax bill, which is very helpful for us here on Circle Back. Last one here, saying, here we go.
Tell him, Ernie. Tell him, Big
Ernie B820 saying, you guys really need the week off. You can record the day before. Pathetic. If I may go into this one here, brother, we record the day before. That's when the holiday was. That's the entire point of why we were taking the day off. It's a statutory holiday in Canada. What are we doing?
Question. Why did you not record the day before the holiday then?
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
Oh my goodness. Why don't you record the day of
Yes!
Play Jacob. He's not here.
Oh my gosh, you're talking into a microphone. It's so taxing. What are we doing here?
For 90 minutes. For 90 minutes. Oh.
Mike and Knish, do the kiosks, do they work on Sunday? Do you guys get your bets in on Sundays too?
24/7, 365 in the casino industry, baby. Just how it should be in the content industry. But no, apparently, if you go north of the border, you get, even the content folks get. And you know what? #ReturnFire. There was a member of that show that agreed with me, and we DM'd about it this week. I'll leave that open to interpretation. But
who agreed?
There's a member of that show.
Lay it out right now.
Who was not very happy. And so let's just say He might, you know, he knows himself some golf, and he knows himself what it takes to, you know, be successful in content.
All right, fair enough. I think I know who we're talking about here, and I'm gonna have a very strong word with him, not at Bet Bash because he probably won't be there. Let's get into our next topic, which is, I mean, from one media company to another. We're taking a look at Barstool here, where their pick show called Pick Central, over 10,000 picks overall over the past 2 years. They are down a whopping 495 units, which, listen, if you're keeping score, is actually a better ROI than Fezzik for this year to date. But anyways, interesting to hear the breakdown of how everyone is in different sports on Pick Central. They kind of gave a little breakdown on how good and, I mean, how bad mostly everyone's done on the show. The overall record here, coming from Pick Central, has been a rough 2 years for the crew bracket, except Hubs, who's up 13 units. Clemmer down 30 units. Marty Mush down 81 units. Great name. Big Ev down 184 units. And then Rico Bosco.
Team that do.
216 units. Hashtag may do. Wish he was still on the show because he would be going off on Rico Bosco for this one. I mean, listen, not really much to get into here because I doubt you're watching Pick Central for specifically their picks. I think you know what you're getting into. But Knish is someone who has a show that's currently down in the calendar year on Hit the Books. Any opinion here?
I mean, listen, I think Barstool, it's funny. They own it. I think Powers used to actually do a weekly segment with Bosco.
Well, I want to throw something out there. In the video, Clemmer did well on college football, and Rico called him out for tailing Powers plays. So, hey, there you go, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, in some like 3-year universe here, we've got some connection. But no, I mean, credit to what's the guy's name? I don't actually know. I know a lot of the Barstool personnel. I don't know who Hubs is, but hey, 13 units keeping it rolling. So I'm happy for the Nadu crew that, you know, Bosco's lost, 2.5 bankrolls in 2 years.
Chris, any thoughts?
I mean, like you said, like the ROI is actually not that bad. It's like a little bit better than minus 5%, which is about what you'd get picking a random minus 110 side if you're a coin flipper. That's what you get on those kind of shows. If you thought differently, I don't know what you were watching. Yeah,
no, fair enough here. Mike, any thoughts?
If you're following Marty Mush and you're expecting this guy's going to take me to the promised land, this is the perfect example that as long as you're not pretending to be anything than what you are, that's totally fine. These people are having fun. They get to, if you tail them at all and you get to hang out with your friends and say, oh, we're all cheering for the same side. This is, we're the weird ones for taking this seriously. This is supposed to be kind of a fun, entertaining product. I have no problems with these guys sucking at betting. And honestly, the fact that they're not pretending to be guys who win at betting is fine.
Yeah, I think
I want to add on to that. Like them and like Barstool and Book It, I don't think they advertise themselves as super sharp. And as long as they're not doing that, this is why we don't like our show, which attacks a lot of touts and people losing, where we don't attack them because they're not claiming to be. Mike nailed it here.
Yeah, great takes all around here, guys. Yeah, pretty much that's all you can say. We talk about it quite a bit here. If you're not presenting yourself as a winner and you're losing, we're not going to go at you. That's just the way of life, right? So, but if you do the opposite, present yourself as a winner, and you're not a winner, then you can find yourself on the show like someone will be later on in the episode. Bosco, definitely a guy who will not be in Circa Sports, but that's where we find our next topic, where we find Jeffrey Benson kind of pulling out the big gun, saying, this will not be live at Circus Resort and Casino. Please remove that from the graphic or our legal team will be reaching out on a now deleted post. Benson whipping out the big guns. In said deleted post was a graphic for JP versus JW Lucas live at Circa Resort and Casino. Why anyone would ever make this graphic, I have no freaking clue. I mean, slated to happen Monday, August 11th during Bet Bash. We'll see if any of that happens. I hope not, because it would ruin a great day at Bet Bash. But I mean, you guys have any opinions on that? Mike, I'll start you here.
Is this the undercard for Knish? First of all, I don't think that the JP fella stands much of a chance in that fight there, just based on what I can tell from all the graphics. But just an absurd thing to have it at Circa and obviously have no kind of backing, no notification to Circa. To put that up is just especially because it's something that you don't need to include. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to that as an undercard until we get to the real main event.
Yeah, on the streets of Vegas off strip should be a fun one if anyone wants to attend that. I doubt anyone will be though. Knish, any thoughts on this now that you're on the main?
Yeah, now that I might lead into the main event, but I honestly I don't know why Elf is still trying to push this the boxing. Like was there not some indication that after the original one, like it had lost the juice, and then how many times I don't even know. And I've been, I think we've been checked out of the space for. I don't even know who this JP guy is. Like I don't know his handle or I don't know anything about him. So this isn't even like. We used to, a few months ago when I was like, if they ended up doing, I'm kind of out on the boxing, but if it ends up like I'll tune in for the stream. This is one like I'm not even. It's just lost all juice. It's lost all of it. So I don't know. I hope they, whatever they can try to move on to something else. But the whole boxing thing, I think, is cooked.
Yeah, I feel like he's burned all the bridges there. Flop, any opinion here?
Just shout out Benson exerting that dominance. Like he got it, that tweet deleted like that. Just. That shows you the power and respect that Benson has. I thought that was pretty epic. And I kind of understand his point of view. Like if that fight actually happened at Circa, that's very bad.
Liability.
They
right.
Fights there. So totally understand why
were they just it on Fremont Street?
Were they playing one of those somewhere in the build, like at Saginaw's, or like I when he says that, like they weren't renting out, it was like, hey, we're gonna fight in the Circa parking lot.
I have no idea what the plan was. Obviously, not a lot of thought went into that. Seems like, just got to be careful because you send out tweets like that. There's been too many times where you get close to a lawsuit might eventually come. Who knows? You just got to be obviously very careful when you do stuff like that. But that wraps it up for that topic. On to the next one. Speaking of fights and whatever, maybe a little bit of back and forth we've seen. Knish, you were getting kind of called out by Steve Fezzik, and guess what? Another week, another topic on Steve Fezzik. So I'm sure you're going to get called out again here. By the way, I don't know why he was calling you out. I tweeted at him that about Hitman, as if he was tailing Hitman's plays. I mean, why would
he's also blocked me to like
he
blocked me, and then now he wants to go on a rager when I can't respond to anything. So
listen, I've been trolling him in the comments. Don't worry, I'm fighting the good fight here. He's yet to respond to me or call me out on Twitter, but whatever, maybe he will after this week. This one comes from Adrian Bajarowski, frequent Fez fan, always using hashtag circle back. We appreciate that. He's saying Fezzik is so desperate for units, he's giving clients 90-second windows to live bet random MLB games on a Monday. You just happen to take a phone call or take a number 2 and poof, no chance to play this. Meet the 2025 Fezzik. The Fezzik play in question was a 2-star play, which is a 2-unit play. Detroit live -135. He writes Detroit trails 1-0, bottom of the first, about to go. And of course, you had like literally 90 seconds between innings to bet that. But that wasn't the only live bet that Steve Fezzik gave out this week. Fezzik update: the grift is wide open right now. So in-game bets are stealing. Units. Commercials are 2 minutes and 30 seconds total. This bet and someone complaining is a perfect reality of what Fezzik is right now. So a +3 pushes the A-OK to play Detroit +2.5. Not so much. And I'll bring up the bets right now. This one from play from Fezzik here. 2-star, another 2-unit play. Detroit Tigers live +3, -143. Note, game is at commercial break after the 4th inning right now. And as you can see, the score was 4-1 at the commercial break. He says A-OK to play Detroit +2.5. Mind you, which he's called people out before, no price attached to the +2.5.
It's not like a half a run is like a negligible thing. This could be worth like 40 cents live. I don't know how much this is worth. Say A-OK with no price is absurd behavior.
Absurd. And I feel bad for anyone who actually did tail this and did play them 2.5, because as you can see on the screen right now, the Detroit Tigers end up losing by 3. So the 3 pushes for Fezzik, who gave it out. He's not tracking it at the 2.5, but if you ended up betting it at 2.5, you got cooked. And that leads us to Johnny California, who's a subscriber of Fezzik. I mean, I'll read the whole thing here just for a little bit of schadenfreude. So here we go. The onslaught of in-game bets that very few people can access, and those who can have a small window to get in. He has to make the wager, compose, and send the message. The receiver then gets it a couple minutes later, drop what he's doing, log in, find the wager if odds have not changed. Unless like Fezzik, the client is not sitting at a panel of computers logging in, monitoring, and ready to go, knowing a play is coming. Like, it's very hard for a guy to do that. It's not practical and unprofessional to send those and count them, but we will see more, ! Even in NFL, you only get 11 minutes to wager second half, let alone 1 to 2 minutes to wager an in-game bet. If you have access to it and you never know when it's coming, it's not at a specific time. Doesn't seem very happy from Johnny California. Then we asked your opinions, and you guys let us know on Twitter at CirclesOffHQ. We tweeted out, is giving out live bets as a paid service the nut low? 75.4% of the people said yes there. Knish, I kind of want to get you in trouble here, so I let you lead. What are your thoughts on that poll? Do you think giving out live bets as a paid service is the nut low?
Well, I'll tell you two things I would qualify this with. Is one, if you're giving out live bets as what I'll call like an adder or a bonus and not tracking them to your main record. So if like part of your thing is just like, I'd usually do pregame bets, halftime, whatever, but I'm going to throw some live out there, what I think's good. I just won't count it either to your play total or to my record total. Then I'd say it's okay. Or two, it's a legitimate like live betting service where someone is like, all these players are going to be live. So you got to be logged on from, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. or something like that. Where that in this instance, obviously neither of those apply. And it's just chase. I say what it is. It's chasing. Obviously the record's not been good for the year. So it's like, I'm going to try and find a way to chase and claw back some with live plays, which I could see as a subscriber, and Johnny C says it there, that people are not happy with, because it's just not tangible.
It's not fair.
Yeah, right. For most people. And there's nothing more like, imagine you're a client, you're down whatever, 50 or 60 units, you miss the live play, and then it wins. How triggered are you that it's like, now, I've already lost 60 units. I missed the play he gave out. It was a winner. And now I'm even more on tilt because I couldn't get the play in time. I don't think it's a good way to run it, or ethical, we'll call it that.
Yeah, we're seeing a slow deterioration of his service over this past year for sure. Chris, any opinion here, or you don't want to poke the bear knowing that that bash is next week?
It's totally fine. I want to see a Fezzik versus Knish fight. I'm really excited. But I think this is the whole problem with like touch, like tracking units and like advertising the record, even like people that have winning like units or positive records. If you can't get the bets, your record doesn't mean anything. Like I could probably be up thousands of units in the last 2 years if I took all the lowest hanging fruits that you can get $7 in. It reminds me when that had that punt prop like years ago. Like it doesn't matter if you win if no one can tail you or no one can get it if you're a tout. And like this is why, in my opinion, you shouldn't ever buy picks, because it's so hard to get everything right. To get someone that can win and that you can tail is extremely difficult, and that you have access to that won't kill your accounts. All of it is almost impossible to do right. There's been like brief stints where people have done it right over the time. Ras did actually somewhat do it right for a couple years. Not, in my opinion, not anymore. But like with Fezzik, maybe he did it right 2 decades ago. Definitely not right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, fair enough. Mike, any thoughts here on this?
So I don't follow Fezzik service, never have. Do you guys know, does he email clients? Is that how he like notifies them of plays? I don't know the system.
Idea, honestly.
I'm telling you, if I got an email on my phone and I was sitting at my desk, I don't know if I could get to it in time to play it on a live MLB line in the commercial break. There's just no time. What is the probability that a sub got this in?
Right.
It has to be under 1%. I mean, this is even more ridiculous than the obscure CFL lines that he has at South Point at 2 a.m. in the morning. Like, this is a crazy line, and you're not getting anything that's close to this price either, because the game's totally changing. So you basically have no input. Fezzik, it feels like he's kind of jumped the shark lately. We kind of have gone from someone who was like, a little wacky, and he might do a couple of things that are a little strange and stuff. But now it's just like we're giving away MLB Monday lines at 2 p.m. games. And, if you don't get it, the website is something out of a 1990s hell that I've never seen. So I don't know what's going on. It's the first time I ever visited pregame or whatever. I saw that. I was like, oh, goodness, this is a whole nother level. So, yeah, we've kind of jumped the shark here on Fezzik, I feel. Unfortunately, he's kind of starting to lose some of the fun that made him at least, a fun jousting partner before. Well,
yeah, I mean,
he's for Joey.
he's literally floundering here. Like he's essentially losing, like he's down 60 units this year, 62 units, should be 64 because he included the push, but whatever, that's besides the point. But yeah, he's floundering here, and you see someone who's in real time is losing one of their abilities to earn, one of their main, I don't know if it's his main source of income, but it's one of the ways that he earns money, and this is negatively going to be affecting him if he continues to lose. People won't buy his service. It's as simple as that. I think that's the biggest problem here, and that's why it's becoming less fun, is because we're seeing a man hit desperation mode right now.
Yeah, and I hope Knish lands the knockout punch.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, hitting in a boxing gym right after this.
This
baby.
is not happening, by the way. I'm just letting everyone know this is not happening.
He really hits rock bottom here. We get him to take a dive in the fight in a specific round, and we
Kalshi
really
market,
profit.
right? I can be, first punch Fez out, then you're slipping him, an envelope afterwards here, and I'm walking around like a champ.
Fair enough. Yeah, but just again, Benson, if you're listening to this, hopefully you are. This is not going to happen. Anyone else listening to this as well, this is not going to happen. We'll have fun with you guys at Bet Bash next week. But anyways, let's get into the chopping block and close out the show here. Starting with our good friend Matt Zilbert, who, by the way, this tweet was requested from Jacob. Jacob sent this to me and said, "Hey, make sure you include this on this week's edition of the chopping block here," because then he knows that Zilbert's a big fan of him and a big fan of the chopping block. Matt Zilbert saying, tonight's over under A's Nats on this fine Taco Tuesday. No one's had more glaring home and road splits than Luis Severino, something to try and capitalize on in total this high. He mentions his over under record at 73, 54, and 5. I believe it's 72, 54, and 6 if you include that one push or the loss, whatever. Anyways, that likely leads the continent, is what he says. His record, 57%, likely leads the continent. Rufus comes in and says, so looks like you're plus 7.52 units on 151 bets. If your average price is minus 115, that's 4.33% ROI. You think the 4.33% ROI and plus 7.52 units is the best in the continent? I want to hear what you guys think. I mean, I completely disagree with Rufus here. How could you be slandering our boy Zilbo? Come on, man. One of the best bettors in the world. Rufus, you have a podcast on at Bet Bash, but Matt Zilbert has his own panel, okay? Show him some respect, please. Flop, go ahead.
Well, I think Rufus is completely out of line here because all of the Matt Zilbert's bets are minus 110-ish. Where did he get this minus 115 number from? That's just pure blasphemy from Rufus, and I support Zilbert and his endeavors.
Even so, if he's getting down $1 million a play, he's up $7.5 million on the season. Yep. So, I mean, I don't know. Might be the best in the continent.
So the problem with that is if he bet $1 million to play, he'd lose his hunger, and we don't want that to happen to him. I love that he's the best on the continent. He doesn't know about the rest of the world, so he says the continent. And I think that Zilbo, he doesn't follow that plus EV math nerd stuff. He's the best on the continent because he has a great winning percentage. The race for 60's on. I still believe he can do it with the heater to end the year.
Yeah, you can see like maybe Rufus should start betting in the mid two figures, because in his response, you can see he's lost all his drive there. So anyways, let's move on to the next topic here, coming from Raheem Palmer. People are in their mid to late 40s. Is there anything more depressing and maddening than when they talk about athletes in their 30s being old and over the hill, and you're now older than those athletes? Listen, I can honestly currently relate to that because I was thinking that Micah Parsons was a little bit old, but he is younger than me. So like that one kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. Let's go to the veterans here on the show. Knish, let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow. I'll tell you that. There was two segments of my life where this first was like I always loved like drafts and stuff. And when you hit like your low 20s and you're like, wait a minute, all these guys who I've been, following, when I was sportsman 10, 12, looking up, be like, oh, they're old. Now I'm older than them as they're getting drafted. And now I'm in the second phase of everybody in every league that, still plays is pretty much, younger than I am. So yeah, that, it's a great tweet by Raheem. Cause yeah, that's, you just got to take it day by day, baby. Yeah, it's a tough one.
One thing you can't dodge is old age. Mike, listen, I don't know how old you are, but can you relate to this at all? Or?
Way older than us, Jason.
Yeah. But Flop told me, he's like, I didn't know you were so old when we were in the car. No, I remember I went to a football game with my dad when I was a little kid, and people were booing the opposing team. It was a college game, and he wasn't booing. And I asked him, Dad, why aren't you booing? He goes, they're just kids. And I thought, what a pussy. You know, like, these aren't kids; they're athletes. And now I watch them and I'm like, oh, you know, he's just a 19-year-old kid out there. It really is when you see the college players that really realizing that these guys are just like they're children compared to you. I think that's even tougher than seeing the pro athletes that are 33 and washed up. It's really, really humbling.
Chris, you're shaking your head here. What's going on?
When I see an 18-year-old or 19-year-old kid miss a free throw that cost me thousands of dollars, fuck that kid. Okay, they're an
Chris, hashtag fuck them kids. What was that? Michael Jordan who said that? I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to our last topic here. Talking about photoshopping bets, which is pretty dog shit to do. Tadpole Sports Betting said this shit is so photoshopped, it's insane. The ticket is real, but he posts dozens a day. You think he's putting $750 on each one? Look at the color. I hate these MFers, lying, cheats. Dude's a low life. I'll send the whole post in my next tweet, trying to put y'all on some game. Shout out to him for doing his investigative journalism there, taking my job from me, finding out that these two plays or this one play at the top where he won $23,000 is Photoshop. You can see that the color is completely different on what would normally be a FanDuel green, winning ticket. And then Kenny at Kill Kenny on Twitter said, if you get caught photoshopping tickets, you should immediately be blackballed from the space. Enough is enough, man. Expose all of these clowns. And I thought it was pretty ironic talking about being blackballed from the space, because in a follow-up tweet, Kill Kenny posts his original tweet, a story in two pictures. It's one picture is the original tweet. The other picture is the person who photoshopped it has blocked him and I guess essentially blackballed him from his feed. But I want to hear your guys' takes. Should we be encouraging the blackballing of people who Photoshop tickets? Chris, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's also funny that I saw on that All in Abe guy's pin tweet that he's got like a thank you FanDuel Sportsbook for buying me my new car or whatever, and it's like he's like faking all the slips and everything like that. Like, this is just pure posturing. It's obvious how these guys make their money. If you are faking slips, you deserve to be blackballed. And it's also funny to see other scammers in the space. I'm not the two guys that we linked. I don't know anything about them. I'm not referring to them. I'm referring to other people. Criticize people faking tweets when they are doing other things that are just as bad. So it's very funny to see the tout wars here.
Yeah, tout wars going on and on. Knish, any thoughts?
Yeah, just the all-in Abe guy is like the modern day Vegas Abe of fake slips. Like he's changed the game. If there's one guy out there, I think he's the guy who's doing just massive. And I think he has a big following too. So yeah, good to see some people calling him out. It's just how many people are actually out there still buying into what he's selling. So, but credit to those guys for doing some of the legwork.
All right, all good. Mike, I'll let you close out the show here.
Yeah, Jason, get your investigative reporting skills on. I got a source actually that sent me in something earlier today. Flup's Kalshi tickets. I think that there might be some questions on how real those are. Maybe I've gotten a little birdie told me that maybe there's some Photoshop going on there. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
You'll never know. Know.
We'll have to address the allegations next week on Circle Back, which, by the way, no show next Tuesday like we talked about here earlier, but there will be a show live at Bet Bash. So if you're going to be at Bet Bash, come by, check us out. I think it's sold out, the show,
yeah.
But there might be a way that you can.
I don't know. Are we recording and distributing that, or is it just Bet Bash?
We are going to do our best to record and distribute, but it's sort of out of our hands. So we'll see. It's a TBD. We're going to do our best to record and distribute it though. But if you're going to be at Bet Bash, do us a favor, be there, show up, shake, say hello to us. And hopefully if you're not already signed up for the show, you can kind of squeak your way in there. I won't tell anybody, I promise. But yeah, no show again next Tuesday, like we mentioned.
Another Canadian holiday.
We're traveling for Bet Bash. I don't know how you want us to record that, right? Like we would have to record on Saturday, which is the day after.
Oh, God forbid we work a weekend.
we covered everything that's happened so far this week. We gotta leave some room for things to breathe on the gambling Twitter spaces. There's not enough stuff in the offseason that we can go through. Anyways, that wraps up the show for us here today. That's it from Circles Back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you check us out on Twitter at CirclesOffHQ. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe as well if you're new to the channel. If you want to see more content like this, we will be back very, very soon, and we hope to see you there.